Okay, I'm still trying to get the whole system fixed. So we're going to try this again. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, I will just schedule this for another time, maybe this evening. Let's see if anybody can find me. Anybody find me? Maybe. Okay, sounds like you maybe can see me. Okay, sorry about that. My whole internet just went down. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. If it does, I will just reschedule for another time today. So kind of back to where we were in case you're catching it late because it's a new post. I'm cutting out the Shamballa. This is the tester bag that I made. And this is the pattern that we're cutting out today. Teresa with Tree 60 Designs and I are going to do a live sew on Thursday. That's the 24th of, I think, of July, 2026. But the link will be there. It'll be on Teresa's channel. I'll add the link to the description. So I can kind of walk through it as I finish this. Just another side note that I had said previously, when you cut this out, you need to make sure that your pattern pieces are right side up and your fabric is right side up, or your fabric is upside down and your pattern piece is upside down. Also, make sure you clip the pattern piece to the piece when you cut it out, because it's like that patchwork design on the front. It's easy to get lost and not remember which piece is which. You can also write on the back of your piece if that's something you want to do. I just clip them. All right. Okay. Well, it looks like a few people have joined me. As I said before, this is my first live all by myself, as the tech issues probably prove. But if you have a question in the chat, just repeat it. If I don't answer it, I'm getting used to doing the chat and doing what I'm doing too. So I already had one contrast band cut out. So I'm going to cut the second one out. And this is blue denim croc from Yellowstone leather. All of the leather I'm using today is from Yellowstone. All right. This bag was really fun to sew. I really, really enjoyed sewing it, but Shamballa's patterns are pretty amazing anyway. She has such good directions, and she's actually an extremely good resource as well. Oh, one thing I'm going to do is I cut these out just to save me time later, is I am going to go ahead and mark the top center and bottom center on my pieces. It just saves me time when I'm making the bag. And if I do it as I cut them out, then I don't have to deal with it later. It takes a little bit of extra time doing it when you're cutting it out, but I'd rather spend that time now than when I sew. I like to just sew and not have to do some of this stuff. All right. Center's marked, pattern piece clipped. There we go. Put it in the bucket. All right, so then I'm going to do pattern piece D. I'm going to do that on the front, so that's the side as you're looking at the bag, the side, and also the bottom right. I'm going to do with this croc. Just trying to decide how I want my pattern of the croc to be in what I want it to look like. It's kind of one of those things when you're dealing with something like this that isn't consistent all the way across and you don't need a very big piece. It's kind of like a little bit of guesswork. But this crock is beautiful. I don't think that the camera really lends it to how pretty it is. All right, so I did make sure my pattern piece was right side up and my materials right side up. I'll put that in there. And then panel piece C, which is that lower, it's this piece right here. So that I want in the crock. I'm going to move this down because my husband, bless his heart, I love him. He is the most amazing husband. But I asked him to get me some sheet metal for the magnets, and it's about this big. So I just need to get some more. But for the most part, I'm able to get, I think I'll put it there. I'm able to get just about all the pieces I need cut out with the magnet underneath. And he was amazing to pick it up. So, all right, just looking at, thank you everybody for joining. I do appreciate it. All right. Especially after all of the technical internet. You know, it's funny. I work at home online every day, and I never, ever, ever have problems with my internet. But it is hardwired in because I can't have problems with it. So maybe I need to get a cord. Although the whole internet went down, it wasn't the connection with the computer. All right, so my PC, I'm going to clip that and put it in the bin. All right, so the zipper panel, I do need this in lining as well. Let's see. I think that's good. I like it right there. And I'm going to, when I cut these out, I'm going to cut them right next to each other so that that pattern kind of continues across both of my zipper panels. Teresa, me too. But if we do, I think that out of everybody I know, the members in the bag community are the most understanding and forgiving people. And I think that we'll make it work. It'll be fine. Technical issues are just a part of dealing with the internet and YouTube and all the things. So it'll be fine. All right, one zipper panel cut out. And then I need another one. Just going to go right above so that they kind of line up. And when I put that zipper panel together, I'll kind of make note of making sure that, so that one, when it's zip closed, it's consistent across. It looks like it's just one piece, even though the zipper's on it. I don't know if that makes any sense. That's just the way my mind thinks. And I do need to cut the zipper panel out of the lining as well. So I'm going to clip these pieces together to my, after I do my centers. And then I'll just put it in the pile I have for my lining so I don't forget it. I try and keep stuff organized when I cut stuff out and group things together. I think we all probably do to a point. And group them together so that I can just grab a pile instead of sorting through them all. And another adjustment, I think I had mentioned, I am going to leave the foam in my seams for my pieces, but not at the top where that fold down is, because it's a drop-in lining. Another thing I'm going to do, instead of doing the zipper panel, like the facing that you turn in, I'm going to use a zipper overlay. And I don't have that cut out yet. I'm going to cut that out on my laser. So not yet, but I will have that. All right. And so my back side panel, this piece right here that's green, I'm doing in the crock. So it is helpful if you already know your color scheme. Like I said, when it comes to bags, the hardest thing sometimes is deciding what to make and what color or what materials to use to make it. At least it is for me. So having that all pre-planned, it does help. This is really loose. You changed the blade on it this morning, so it would cut. Tried to think of everything, but the internet, can't control everything, I guess. All right. I am just about done with all of the crock. I just have a couple more pieces, I think. Perfect. And then she does mark on the pattern piece. She gives you markings for the fold down. So pay attention to that. I will trace those lines later because I'll probably do it as I put my foam in. All right, so my gussets. Oh, look, that'll even fit. Perfect. So let's put one here. I got to slide it down so it's on my magnets. I love the magnets though. If you haven't, it's not that expensive. And I got these little magnet things off Amazon. I bought them when we went on our cruise because the walls are metal, so you can use them on the walls. But they are really strong. I think they're like 80-pound magnets, so they work great. Just an option as far as a less expensive way to use the magnets. They work fantastic. And I got double use out of them because, the cruise was a week. So, all right. And then I am going to mark the centers on the top and the bottom. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but it kind of is. When you cut things out, it is pretty repetitive. So this leather is beautiful. And I do appreciate everybody who's joining. Teresa, thank you so much for helping out with all that. And Jan, I just added you. I finally got to that. Thank you. All right. I guess I need another one of these. One gusset won't work. You need two. You guys all rock. I appreciate it. This is really out of my comfort zone, but we all have to push our boundaries sometimes. So this is it. And you guys get to come along for the journey. I don't know if that's good or bad for you or not, but I do appreciate it. All right. Gusset. Second gusset. I like the way she assembles this bag because you're only putting a gusset on the exterior. The lining is built differently, so you're not dealing with that gusset on both the exterior and the lining, which is just kind of nice. I mean, sometimes it can be tedious when we are messing with the curves. Although I have to say, her pattern is so good. I really didn't have that much of a problem with the curves. But most of the pattern designers anymore are fabulous. I just really do like Shamballa's designs. I love the patchwork look. It just makes it so unique. You can make a bag that nobody else is ever going to copy, which is kind of why I like it. All right, got the gusset done. So I have the hidden strap connectors. I am going to do a little different technique for the hidden strap connectors. So I'm going to actually make mine a little bit longer than what she recommends. I'd rather have it and need to cut it off than not have enough. So, and I'm just going to do one big strip. Just cut this out with a ruler. Let's see. Just looking, I can't remember how long they are. So I'll just cut a big strip. I am also going to put a piece of Decovil Light just kind of in the seam of my hidden connector. I'll do that off camera, but just a little piece in the center so that it just gives it that extra support. I just feel like with connectors, when it's wrapped around that D-ring, it does pull on it more. So having that little bit of extra, all right, we can cut down on some of that in the way. Get these little strips out of here. Anyway, so I think that's helpful. Let's see, that's okay. I can remember what the width was on it. All right. And as I said before, I am using a chain strap on this bag. I'm not gonna make a strap. I may make one later if I want to be able to switch it out, but for the most part, that should be good. For the most part, I'm not gonna. I just feel like this bag is really elegant, and with the leather, I feel like it just needs something a little bit more than just a regular strap. So, all right. The only other thing I need is my piping. That's not a pattern piece, which is not a problem. It's just a strip, and I have it written down. I'll set that aside, and there we go. Perfect. I'll use the big ruler for that one. Look at questions. Oh, the rotary cutter, I think, is a 28 millimeter rotary cutter. When I'm cutting curves and just the pattern, just going around the pattern piece, the smaller rotary cutter is easier to use. I wouldn't even try to do some of the curves with a bigger one. And then I'm not tracing it off and cutting it out. I'm able to just cut it out at the same time, and it does make it a lot faster. All right. So my piping, I actually want my piping to be the middle of the crock, which kind of, I guess, you cut out the middle of the crock, you cut out the middle of the crock. It's meant to be used, right? At least that's what I'm telling myself today. It's meant to be used, not a problem. Okay. And this is a little longer than my thing. Yeah, you're welcome, Teresa. All right, that looks pretty good. And I need it longer than this. So I'm just gonna kind of move that piece down a little bit more and then keep cutting. I'm so excited to make this bag. It's so much fun because they're all a little different because of the color combination. So it's just fun to see how it's going to turn out and what it's going to look like. I don't know if everybody is that way or if it's just me. I would think everybody is that way a little bit because otherwise, why would you do the bags, right? All right, I'm cutting both of these out at the same time because you do need two, but I'll just cut them in half. And I honestly don't know what size, like the foam piping insert she calls, or I don't remember if that was in the pattern. For the first bag, I used what I had, which was 2.5 millimeter or 3/32. It was too small. I wasn't happy with the piping. So I am using, for my piping, it's the same like foam cord, but it is 6/32. I think it's like 3 millimeter, or no, I'm sorry, 6 millimeter. It really needed a thicker piping than what I had. So if you have a thicker piping cord, I would use that. The other, because either that or you can use the narrower, but I would take off like a 1/4 inch of your piping strip that you're putting it in. It just was too wide with that thin stuff. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. I'm just going to cut this. Let's get this out of the way. I think I'm done with this for now. All right. We'll cut this down to the right size, and then I think we get to move on to another color. The other leather I'm using is lamb. So just know it's and it is, I think I said that already, but forgive me if I repeat myself. It is also from Yellowstone. All right. In the bin. We are making headway. All right. So next I will do the gray. This is a gray lamb. It is from Yellowstone as well. I'm just not going to say that again. Everything's from Yellowstone. And then this piece is going to be right there on the purse. And I already have it. My pattern piece is up. And my fabric is up. Just cut that one out. I need to make sure it's on my little tiny piece of metal under my cutting table. I will get another one. It's working. All right. This lamb is just so luxurious. It is just something about the leather, you know. I love vinyl because there's so many designs and colors, but there's just something about the leather. You just can't necessarily repeat that. All right, in the bin. So that's all I'm going to use for this gray. We'll set that aside. And we will, so this is like a very off-white lamb. It's just got a little bit of almost a chocolate, it's a very light chocolate milk. I don't know. I'm not good at describing colors. And so for this color, this piece of the bag and this top piece of the bag, I'm doing in that color. Hey, Lori, thank you for joining. Jan, thank you for all the links. I do appreciate it. And yes, Teresa, the 5/32 piping would be great. I just happened to order what I ordered because I was winging it. I think that is like 5 millimeter and mine is 6. And when I use the piping, you're not sewing over the piping. You cut it a little bit short. And then as you pull that piping off, there's no piping in the piece that you're sewing over. So even though the cording feels kind of thick, it's fine because you're not technically sewing over it. All right. Oops. Just a snip. All right. So there is my top back in the pot. And my front piece. Hey, Kathy. Welcome, Kathy. Thank you for joining me. All right. I have have only been making bags. Well, I shouldn't say that now. It's been about 3 to 4 years. I love it. And I've done almost every craft there is, and I am just hooked on this. So this is kind of where I settled. All right. And I think that is all I need for the white. And then I have my chocolate. Look at that leather. Isn't that so pretty? It's so pretty. All right. But when I do see, I have a zipper tab that I need to cut out of the crock. So I will grab the scrap. I have a scrap. I'll grab a scrap of crock and do my little zipper tab. But yeah, I mean, we just have the lining and the foam is all that's left for cutting it out. It really doesn't take long. Some of it is just knowing in advance what you're going to do. Then it really doesn't take that long to cut it out. And it is a great scrap buster because some of these, you're just using little pieces. So if you have some vinyl that you only have a little bit left of, or you don't want to use a lot of, or leather or whatever you have, it's a great way to use some of those little pieces that you just didn't want to throw away, or you just don't want to use a lot of, because we all know we get a piece that we like, and sometimes it's like, but I can't get it again, and I don't want to cut it. So at least, I don't know, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just the hot dog. It's highly possible. I guess there's worse things. All right. So now this is the front panel. So I just cut this out where this printed is. That's going to be the chocolate. And then this piece right here is going to be the chocolate. Hopefully that kind of helps with getting a visual on the pattern as far as, whoops, let's put a couple more of these down. How it's going to all look together. Her little like black and white little copy of the pattern is also very helpful because it just helps you kind of see, gives you a blank slate, kind of helps you see what you might want to do. And there's so many combinations, which is overwhelming and exciting at the same time. All right. So there is my exterior front piece clips. So that is all I need of the chocolate. Easy. So the exterior of the bag is all cut out, except for this little piece. And I will just take this little scrap right here and cut that out. It's really quick. It doesn't take long. And it really is a quick sew too. It doesn't take that long to sew it together, which is nice. All right, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying really, girls, ladies, peoples. Trying really hard to read the chats. I hope I'm not ignoring anybody. As I said before, if there's a question you have, just repeat it if I don't answer it. I don't want to ignore anybody, and I hugely appreciate everybody kind of following and finding after the tech issues. All right, lining. So I am just using a gray waterproof canvas. It's not really heavy, but it's not water resistant, so it's a little bit thicker. And then I just need 2 lining pieces. And I think I'm going to avoid the wrinkles and kind of go out a little. I'll iron it. I know people are afraid to iron waterproof or water resistant canvas. I just use a low temperature heat. I use a regular iron. I don't put it in the heat press. And only on the exterior, on the fabric side. Don't ever iron it on the reverse side where the PVC lining is, because that would be bad. You will melt it to your iron, and you probably are going to end up needing a new iron. And don't ask me how I know that. All it takes sometimes is once, to learn that mistake. All right, so our main lining piece. Oh, and don't let me forget, I need to do the zipper panel with the lining too. It does make it faster using a rotary cutter and the magnets to cut it out, because you're not having to trace it, cut it, trace it, cut it. It does take twice as long to do it that way. However, it works great. And if that's the way it works for you and that's the easiest way for you to cut something out, oh my goodness, by all means, do it that way. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. We all got to do what makes life easiest for us and what is easiest for our skill set or our abilities. And I definitely have had a lot of things I have just cut out. Just traced off and cut out. So no shame in that. Just getting these little corners because the rotary cutter doesn't quite get all the way in. That's why I like the templates. When we make our templates in our on our website for the things that we do, my husband's amazing when it comes to that laser. And he makes the overcuts so that you're able to get that rotary cutter in there and cut a clean corner. Love it. All right, there we are. And I got to slide it down. There we go. See the magnets pop? All right. Second one. And as I said earlier, the way that the lining on this bag is different than how she assembles the exterior. So it really makes it fast to sew together. Once you get to that lining, it kind of feels like you're home free. And it is a drop-in lining, which I personally prefer. I feel like anytime I do a turned bag, the wrinkles and they're you can deal with them, and you can hit it with the hair dryer and things like that. And it doesn't always wrinkle, but you spend all day sewing a bag together, and then you get wrinkles in your interfacing when you turned it. And I get very frustrated with that. All right, I am going to mark the centers on these before I clip them. They will be needed later. Also, typically when I cut things out, like if I'm cutting out a purse strap, I will draw the line and put the tape on when I cut it out, because it makes it faster when I go to assemble the bag. All right. Lining. Got it. Okay. So now we have zipper pockets and the back zipper, inside zipper pocket and the back zipper pocket. So we will get those cut out, and we need our zipper panel. Digging through my pieces and grabbing it because I don't want to forget to cut that out. And I think it was at the bottom. Well, did I throw it? In here. There they are. Just buried. Put that over there so I don't forget, because I don't want to forget to cut those out. It's always a pain when you get to the machine and, oh, I still need to cut this out. It's happened, but I try and avoid it. Okay. The zipper pocket, both of them are on a fold, so just be mindful of that. And I might add a slip pocket as well, but I'm gonna think about whether or not I want to do that. If I do, then I'll just have it cut out before we go live to sew it together. All right. Zipper pocket almost done. Then we just have the other zipper or the other zipper pocket lining and zipper panel, and we are done with the main pieces. All right. See, super fast, super fast. And I'm being slow, I feel like, because I'm talking and reading. Oh, the sheet metal thing, it's just a piece of, I want to say steel, a really, really thin, it's like about this big, that you can buy at Lowe's, a hardware store or a building supply store, because I know you're in Canada, Teresa. I don't know if they have those stores up there, but it's just a really thin, like a couple millimeter thick piece of sheet metal, and I just slid it under my, let me show you. And it's just slid under the cutting mat, and the magnets are strong enough that it grabs that sheet metal in between or underneath the cutting mat. Whoops, pocket piece. Does that make sense? Yes, it has to be, I'm trying to think. Aluminum is not magnetic. I think it has to be stainless, not galvanized, although the galvanized, I guess, would work as long as take a magnet with you when you go to the store. And if it sticks to it, it'll work. My husband bought it, so I wasn't there to see exactly what it was. But I think it's stainless steel. I could be wrong. If anybody knows, you can correct me. I don't think magnets stick to aluminum, so I think it's stainless steel. Uh-oh. Can you not hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So zipper pocket done. Get this out of the way. The only thing we have left is the zipper panel lining. She does have the pattern pieces for all the stabilizers, which is very nice. So if you don't have an industrial machine, or if you don't want to leave your foam, which is what I'm using in the seam allowance, she has pattern pieces for every piece of the stabilizer. Definitely use those if you want that out of the seam allowance. As I said earlier, this one I made, and I used the pattern pieces, and it was out of the seam allowances, and I found it difficult because I don't like adhering my stabilizer to the bag. I just like basting it on. So because it was out of the seam allowance, there was no ability to baste it on. So I ended up gluing it, and then it just, it's not my thing. It's nothing wrong with it. It worked great. Gluing it in just took more time and kind of tedious, and that's not the way I like to roll. So if you have a domestic machine, definitely would recommend using her pattern pieces for whatever stabilizer you choose. And it will keep it out of those pieces are to keep it out of the seam allowance. Amazing. I love it when a designer does that, because sometimes you just don't want it in the seam allowance, and it's hard to guess. So to have that pattern piece already there is really nice. I am not going to do that way because I do have that domestic machine, or I have an industrial, and I prefer on most of my pieces to keep it in the seam allowance. Then I can baste it on. But it is a drop-in lining, so be mindful. She does on the pattern have the allowance to keep the stabilizer out, so that when you drop it in, when you're folding it over to drop it in, that you don't have that extra bulk. And I will follow that. But for my main pieces, I'm probably just going to cut out a piece of foam with the pattern piece for those pieces, and then kind of go from there. So I guess those are some of the modifications I'm doing. You know, I basically followed the pattern the first time I did it. But now I know this is what I want to do. This isn't what I want to do. If you follow the pattern, you are not going to be disappointed. So just whatever your comfort level and your skill level is, also whatever your machine can handle, just keep that in mind. All right. Marking my centers on my zipper panel. And I am honestly just about done with all the pieces that I'm going to do. I will do the foam off camera because I'm going to modify it, and it's going to take me a bit. That's it. We have it cut out. Only thing is the stabilizer, and that'll take about 5 minutes to cut out. Not a problem. There's not that much. Any questions before I zoom out of here? And I do appreciate you ignoring the mess in the background. Those are all my supplies. This is all my hardware. This is my supply room, but it was easier to do it in here than it was in my sewing room because it's cramped with machines. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining. I do appreciate it. Thank you for hanging in with me with all of the technical issues this morning. I do appreciate it as well. I'm really excited to be able to do this, and I cannot wait until we sew this bag together on Thursday. It will be a beautiful bag. The pattern, actually, because the pattern is so good, I already know that, but I'm excited to see what it's going to look like. All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining me. I do appreciate it. And don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, I would love it if you'd subscribe. If you have any questions, I read the comments on it. So later when it goes, if you put a comment in, I will respond to it. All right. Well, thank you so much. You guys have a good day. Bye.